Hello and welcome to Warframe Unabridged. I'm your host Finn, and today we're going to be continuing our Unabridged journey through the power kit of Nezha as we take a look at a maximum effort crowd control build that I have dubbed the Negative Boi. For this loadout, we will be discussing Nezha, the boy on fire, and I have got to give a shout out to Polygon Monster for his work on the Nezha Divine skin, as well as Faven and Silverbones for their George skin, either of which could be yours for free. See details towards the end of the video. Alright my Tenno, in my video The Altar Martial Loadout, I discussed the damage aspects of Nezha's ultimate Divine Spears, as well as casting animations, but this time we're taking a completely different look at Divine Spears as we examine the hard crowd control aspects of this power. It's definitely an interesting one, and in order to accomplish it, we have to mod him in a very different way than we are used to. Now previously, we have modded him for speed, flight, teleportation, ground-based CC, soft CC, and DPS. And in nearly all of them, he has substantial amounts of durability to tinker around with. But it's pretty difficult to do what the chief end of this loadout is for without neutering a few powers, but believe me, it is worth it. So what did we skip when we discussed the Altar Martial? Well, the fact that it's a flat-out amazing hard crowd control power. That's what. There are many scenarios where it's wiser to opt out of dealing massive damage and sticking to forms of solid CC. Such scenarios as the Law of Retribution, where killing enemies can drastically amp up the level of Vahek, or on defection missions where you don't have to kill a single enemy in order to progress. Capture missions don't need it. Spy and sabotage missions don't need it. But most importantly, interception missions do not need it. So why do I emphasize interceptions, you might be asking? Well, the answer is in capturing the towers. For those of you who were privy to the Ivara interception exploit back in the day, you know that the enemies don't just continue to pile in so long as you aren't killing enemies. Now, the most important aspect of Divine Spear specifically within the context of interception missions is that enemies could be standing in the center of a tower, but once they are impaled, the tower is no longer considered to be in conflict. If you had 30 enemies standing in the middle of a tower, you can still capture the tower without killing a single one of them. Now getting to the loadout, we use Cunning Drift, Primed Continuity, Constitution, Prime Flow, Vitality, Rage, Quick Thinking, Overextended, Stretch, and Shotgun Amp. Now for our primary, we will equip the Arca Plasmor, the secondary we equip the Arca Cisco, and for melee we will be using the Zenistar just as another way to lock down a tower. Now for your companion, we usually use the Taxon, equipped with Meta Ray, Shield Charger, Molecular Conversion, and Guardian, prioritized in that order. This is primarily to give it a form of supplemental defenses, as well as recovering some of the lost health or shields. As for Arcanes, this build is seriously lacking in damage, as well as durability. Several routes could be taken for this one, but off the cuff, there are several aspects to take into account. First off is the fact that we don't have a reliable warding halo, which seriously harms our durability in particular. That's the purpose of Quick Thinking. And so you may want to consider Energize, which will double his health in sticky situations. Now as for me, I've tested this pretty extensively, and I have elected to mod for Gunplay instead. And depending on the weapon that I will use Avenger and Tempo for my Plasmor, or I will use Awakening and Precision for my Cisco. Now finally for our focus, we equip Zeneric to regen our energy pool, essentially functioning as a health regen for our bottom tier of health. So first thoughts on this build are no doubt looking at the lack of a serious warding halo. I'm here to tell you that is okay. You see, Nezha has a lot going for his kit. Now even without power strength, your halo will grant you 500 damage absorption, and with Vitality and Rage, you will refund much of the damage that you take beyond the halo into energy, and Nezha has one of the better energy pools in game. With Quick Thinking, you're in pretty good shape, and you're more than capable of surviving about 3 shots from a level 150 bombard, all things included. As for his health, you do have your Blazing Chakram to make up the difference as needed. While this power is typically not going to help much due to its terrible accuracy, this build is tailor-made to make enemies completely immobilized, so getting health back is an extremely simple task. Now getting back to interceptions, I wanted a perfect build for these scenarios, and a similar tactic works in Archwing, like using Repel on Odinata, or the Prime variant, in that it forces out enemies and paralyzes them long enough for you to take the node. Essentially, you can continue to use these powers to make capturing the towers incredibly effective, and you never have to kill anyone. Now some may point to Snow Globe or Fire Blast as competitors, but I would counter, stating that it's not a guarantee that they will force an enemy out, let alone kill them. And after enemies scale a bit, they will no longer be killed by those powers either. Divine Spears doesn't discriminate based on levels though. It doesn't matter if you have a node with a single level 1 enemy on it, or 40 level 1500 enemies. So long as you impale the enemies, regardless of any other scenario, the tower will not be in conflict until they are dropped or new enemies enter the tower and put it in conflict. Now, the specific area where Negative Boi shines brightest is in Fissure interceptions. In such a scenario, I would recommend that you equip as few weapons as possible so that it's more likely that when you hit 10 reactant, the buff will go directly to the frame. And once that happens, you can count this among the most godly form of crowd control available. At maximum range, Divine Spears will cover a radius, that's 1/2 across, of 47.5 meters. That's 95 meters from end to end. However, as the most astute of you may know, strength and range double when under the effects of reactant. With this, your 47.5 meter radius becomes a 95 meter radius with a 190 meter diameter. And with range like that, you can often lock down all 4 towers. And with this build in particular, you will have them locked down for just over 20 seconds. As a bit of a footnote, the reactant buff will also drastically improve your warding halo. Not only will you have damage absorption buffed up to 1000, you will also have a stagger field that has a 20 meter diameter. So anything that comes within 10 meters of you in any direction will begin to stagger once per second. Screw the king, screw the queen. You've just become the chessboard itself, and that is all there is to the Negative Boi. Now, before we get out of here, if you want a chance to claim a free Nezha and a Circa Helmet, comment the video with your PSN and a fun fact about the original Nezha. It doesn't have to be elaborate, and I don't care if you repeat what someone else has said above you. Winners will be selected by raffle. Winners will be selected upon the completion of Nezha Unabridged. And you know what? If you already have them, I'll be happy to give you a Tenojin skin instead. Now, you can follow me on Twitter, or you can friend me on my official Facebook page using the link in the description. If you like what we do here, be certain to like our video. If you think someone else might benefit from it, go ahead and share the video. But most importantly, subscribe for more Warframe content. And if you happen to particularly love me, you can always hit the notification button for some instant gratification. But until next time, as ever, this is Fen signing off.